Do you remember when Minecraft was scary? Back when we were kids? I remember the first night being the worst. Back then, coal wasn't as common as today, and neither were sheeps, so it was pretty common to end your first day in a hole, waiting for the sunrise. And while playing Minecraft RTX, I felt that again. That same feeling I had as a kid. Even though I perfectly knew what ray tracing was and how it worked, when night came I was still looking for a place to build my house because that's just how you play Minecraft. The night just isn't that big of a deal anymore. But this time, night came and it was dark. Absolutely pitch black dark. I even stopped for a second, pondering why I didn't see that coming. The monsters were already coming at me, so I put down a torch, and all it did was light up a tiny square, the light quickly fading to dark in the distance. So, for the first time since I was 12, I remembered what it's like to be scared in Minecraft. Hey guys, it's Luigi, and today we're talking about ray tracing. Over the last 2 years, after Nvidia announced their RTX cards, the PC gaming community has been highly divided on the technology. Many consider it just a gimmick with no real impact on games, with the only noticeable difference being reduced performance and just an excuse for Nvidia to gouge up the GPU prices. Others consider it an amazing innovation and a next step in computer graphics. Today I want to show you that ray tracing not only can, but will and already is changing the way we play and look at games. The invention of ray tracing can be traced all the way back to the 16th century to the artist Albrecht Dürer, who created a device that could be described as a manual camera. There's not much documentation about this, but basically instead of drawing the subject as you see it, you trace the light rays from the source all the way to your canvas, trying to come up with realistic lighting. As for the modern age, the first algorithm has been theorized in 1968 by Arthur Appel. In this view, the light rays were cast by the eyes of the viewer, and every photon would be traced until something blocked its path. In 1979, Turner and Whitted expanded on the foundation by adding the concept of reflection, refraction, and shadow. All of this was solid theory, but hardware capable of tracing enough photons to actually simulate a scene wouldn't become available until the 21st century. Pixar started using the technology since the movie Monsters University back in 2013. It can also be seen in many non-animated movies that use CGI, like Captain Phasma's armor in Star Wars The Force Awakens. Rendering these scenes used to take hours for non-optimized hardware due to the sheer complexity of processing God knows how many rays per second, until 2018. After 10 years of research and development on the technology, in November of that year, Nvidia released the 2000 series of graphics cards. For the first time, real-time ray tracing was available on commercial level. The way this technology works is extremely complicated, and I have absolutely no competence to explain it in detail, but in simple terms, this is how it works. In the standard lighting model, you have one or more light sources in the scene, and objects in the world have parameters that makes them respond in a certain way to being illuminated. The problem with this is that light isn't traced, it doesn't have a path, it just exists, and if a developer wants to create a realistic scene, he will have to put in the work and manually brighten and dim parts of it to create the look he desires. Instead, with ray tracing, the light source or sources will actually cast the light rays, and your hardware will process the path the light takes. Objects still have parameters for how to respond to being illuminated, with the difference that this time the light will answer differently from being bounced off different materials. The clearest example of this are reflections. In certain illumination, a window won't have realistic reflections because there's no way for the system to tell where the light is coming from. But in games, you still see approximated ones because the developer took the time to create reflections where needed, even though they won't be accurate. In ray tracing, the system itself will do all the work, and more accurately than any developer could, so you end up with amazing reflections like in Control. I truly do believe this technology will change how we play games, but I also have to admit that the launch of it has been handled horribly. Being a newly developed technology, these cards were significantly more expensive than last gens, turning the XR on literally half their FPS, and that's to say if you even had a ray tracing compatible game to begin with. At launch, the only games to support it were Battlefield 5 and Metro Exodus. The reception was lukewarm at best, with Battlefield only supporting ray traced reflections, and turning them on came up with 50% performance drop. Metro Exodus, on the other hand, was a whole other story. Ray Trace global illumination made a clear difference from the classic lighting method, but was also even more demanding than Battlefield, making it prohibitive for 2060 owners, the lowest card available. Much later than expected then, Shadow of the Tomb Raider added support for ray traced shadows. Literally the most boring implementation of RTX, it's barely noticeable. And then it was pretty much radio silence for months. There were many new RTX games announced, but none would drop before the end of the year. In the summer, a quick 2 RTX demo dropped to give a little treat to the starving people desperately waiting for games to play on the cards they paid so much for. And so, this is how the public came to be pretty discouraged with the future of the technology. It has now been a year and a half from the release of the cards, and fortunately a few more games have been released now, but in my honest opinion, none that will sway many heads and make someone buy a card just to play them. Until now. Very few games are as iconic as Minecraft. Hell, 10 years after its first release, we still see its influence in modern games, either with blocky graphics, survival elements, or crafting. It's still used in schools for teaching, and people have literally transformed it into a way to create art. The introduction of ray tracing just breathes new light into this game, in a way no other game has achieved yet. One of the clearest reasons is because it's not only ray traced reflections like in Battlefield and shadows like Tomb Raider and Call of Duty, but also global illumination, meaning that every single light source is ray traced. I did say that Metro Exodus had global illumination too, but at least in my view, Minecraft handles it way better. I've played Metro, and I always had to double check if the feature was on. Though, in its defense, when looked at side by side, the two modes are actually drastically different. But in Minecraft, this isn't just a feature, it's a literal game changer. The biggest reason why the majority of people haven't been struck by ray tracing is because the games that support it are made to take advantage of it. The gameplay doesn't change one bit, so the only way for you to notice it's even on is to analyze the details in the environment, which realistically no one would do when playing normally. Instead, the sandbox nature of Minecraft allows it to take whatever shape you give it to it. By introducing realistic lighting, many game elements change. Most importantly the night, as expected, but also caves. In normal Minecraft, caves are just the usual stroll, where you place torches borders away to find your way back rather than an actual light source. After all, you can still see in complete darkness. But now, exploring caves has to be planned. You can only go as far as the amount of torches you have, because once those run out, there's no way you're going forward in complete darkness. Same goes for the night. In normal Minecraft, you can see pretty far in the distance, the world is never completely dark. Instead, in RTX mode, you can't see past the edge of your nose, again making torches extremely important. And all throughout the day, the game is a pleasure to look at. When walking through trees, you can see the light dim because of them, and water reflections are just fantastic. I mean, look at them. Come on, look at them. Ray tracing also tells light what color to be. In a realistic setting, if light passes through a colored material, it will change the hue it's based on it. The same thing happens here, as demonstrated by the colored glass. I want to emphasize how incredible this is, because this hasn't been coded by any developer, like it's done for standard lighting. This is the system by itself, changing the color of light because it went through a colored object. This could seem a little too much fuss about some light, but personally, I think the devil lies in the details. It will seem that Minecraft is the first RTX game to not be a failure, but I don't think other games are to blame for this. Game development takes years, so it only makes sense for a technology this new to not have any game take fully advantage of it. I actually think some did quite an amazing job, as I mentioned before, Metro Exodus and also Control for its amazing reflections and light play. I do believe though that Minecraft gave us an amazing sneak peek into what this technology can evolve into if a game can be shaped around it instead of the technology trying to fit a game not made for it. No matter how much people hate it right now, GPUs will get better and more optimized. Even now, a few updates later, performance has improved drastically, making the RTX 2060, the lowest card of the bunch, a very enjoyable 1080p 60fps experience with DXR enabled. Probably the most exciting thing is the fact that next-gen consoles will feature a ray traced capable GPU. No matter how much I like to brag about PC gaming being superior and yada yada yada, I'm also fully aware that the real market in which game companies are focused on are consoles. I expect this new generation to feature lots of AAA games with ray tracing, and as the technology evolves, also to be featuring many, if not all, 3D indie games. Everyone will want to join the trend because it will be the hottest new thing when the new console generation drops. And we already have proof of that with more and more games being announced lately that will support ray tracing. In a matter of a few years, it's gonna entirely replace the old model for standard lighting, and the little squabble between PC gamers in 2018 will be completely forgotten. Hopefully, it will also be implemented in VR, so we could also enjoy more immersive and realistic worlds. I have to admit though that I'm a sucker for detail, as you might have noticed, and apart from games like Minecraft, it's not such a noticeable difference that any person will see or appreciate. So in a way, I could also be wrong and this could literally be just a gimmick. But in case you were against it, I hope this video somehow changed your mind, and if you didn't know about its existence, I hope you're fascinated as I am about it. In case you wanna add your opinion, feel free to drop a comment below, and I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.